everybody, this is Rose of Sharon. I'm back again with another book review. This one is written by Nancy Goldstone, who is also the author of Four Queens, and it's called The Lady Queen, the Notorious Reign of Johanna I, Queen of Naples, Jerusalem, and Sicily. And to be quite honest, I did not even know that Jerusalem had a queen, and I didn't know about Johanna herself. And the book's fascinating. It just goes over the whole mentality of the people at the time that were quick to point a finger at Johanna and state that, oh, because there's a plague that broke out, you're at fault because you murdered your husband, which actually she didn't. There's no proof to that. It was just all ad hominem, and that's a horrible fallacy to commit. It's just really asinine. And she married a few times. I think she married 3 times, and she had a child in her 3rd marriage. Actually, it was a stillbirth, so she was 39. And I'm thinking at that time, unlike this day and age, it was an advanced age to actually be carrying a pregnancy through. I'm not sure if she had tried before with previous husbands, because there's so little information here, even from Mrs. Goldstone herself, and she did her research extremely well. This is very spectacular. And it talks about Johanna's upbringing and why they called her the Lady Queen. She was very elegant, eloquent, and very refined in the way that she did things. And of course, she had a vast array of territories, including Naples itself. And an interesting thing about Naples is it was considered the hub of civilization at the time, especially if you factor in the whole Holy Roman Empire and all that. But it's it is a pretty big deal. It was absolutely gargantuan in where it stood. So if you're thinking that the golden age of Greece was really impressive, well, you don't know anything, because Naples was where it was at. And actually, Naples, interestingly enough, was a bustling hubbub of activity, and it was the most populous city at the time. I forget what era. It was the medieval ages. So, as Caitlin likes to say in her videos, the Middle Ages were magic. Sorry, I had to plug that. Opportune time. I watch a lot of her videos too, so segue. I really enjoyed the book. It was absolutely sensational. I highly recommend it if you want to know who Johanna was. And it's just, she really got the short end of the stick, sad to say. She was reviled by so many people. I think it was just due to jealousy and just how much power she had and how much territory she owned and her upbringing. She was extremely well educated, and especially for a woman, that was something that just was not done. It was considered to be extremely inappropriate and controversial, and women were supposed to be seen and not heard. And yes, that did apply to the nobility, but there was this whole idea, the whole noblesse oblige, and if you know anything about that, is just the nobility is, you just let them do whatever they want, and they can have all that they desire because they have the power. So you, as a peon, you really don't have any say-so in how the nobles decide to work their authoritarian ways. And I thought, ugh. It's more of that whole live and let live mentality. Which, I mean, it's not a bad thing, and she wasn't at fault for this, but there were other people who thought they had the better idea for her, and then there were other figures that were involved. It was extremely complex and convoluted, but it's just that whole Game of Thrones setup. It's Game of Thrones is actually very accurate in this way because you've got all these different kingdoms that are basically fighting over the same object, and that was something that was done to excess back in that time, and they would do so. They would go about it, and well, maybe if I can barter this or trade that, or I can go conquer this land and this territory belongs to me. Well, she sadly died in a pauper's grave. They don't even know where it is. They even said that despite everything, even though she had so many achievements in her lifetime, she's always reviled. And a footnote in history is that one queen who was, she cuckolded her first husband and actually married the love of her life after his death, which seemed very suspect. Was she at fault for that? One wonders, but honestly, there's no evidence to really amount to anything leading up to a modus for that. Of course, yes, there are those in the court who said, well, Johanna, you have no remorse. You are showing no grief for your husband who is dead. And now you have eloped with your lover. Scandal! But, yikes. But she actually was related to Elizabeth of Hungary, which is very interesting. Elizabeth was very well thought of and adulated and extremely respected as a woman. And then you got Johanna here, who's just kind of pushed over to the side and, ugh, we don't want you. But she did a lot, even though history doesn't really remember that. But I'm glad that Nancy at least records some of what could be found about her family upbringing and how she came to be the well-rounded woman that she was, and just the amount of things that she had, how much she learned, and she was really quite the trailblazer, actually. But I can't really say that much else about the book. It's really quite interesting, and there's a lot of political turmoil that is going on, and that's nothing new, but of course it deals with the royalty, so yeah, it's a mess. But beyond that, I really can't say that much else about it. If you're a fan of the Middle Ages, then I would definitely pick it up. If you don't know anything about Johanna, definitely do so, because it's absolutely terrific. It's completely fascinating. It's an account that I thought that the Queen of Jerusalem had another name. Apparently not. But that's all I have to say for now. Till next time. Live long and prosper. Ciao, Tootsie.